This is called a talking head shot. We're going to get it right in a moment. Are we good? We might be. Guys, tell me in the comments below if this broadcast is clear. I'm trying to use my desk lamp here to see if I can get the lighting perfect, which is not always the case, but you know, sometimes you have to make do with what you've got. Stacy Beamer. You know, I went to school with a Warren Beamer. And Warren passed away not too long ago. Loud and clear. I'm glad to hear that. I'm using a Rode lapel mic. I'm not using a lavalier mic. There's a little distortion with my lighting here. I'm in the hotel room over here in the Copper Belt in Kitwe, to be specific. And a couple of things I just want to run by you as we start today, and I'm going to look on my monitor here. You know, many of you tell me that I only say hello to one specific person. Well, that's because they always show up. And you show up long enough, people notice you. And live streaming, live vlogging 101, guys, whenever you are live streaming and you notice your regulars, people that consistently make sure that they watch your lives, always shout out to them, always, because they are the glue, they are the engine that drives your live streaming, okay? So thank you to you guys that are consistently in the Copper Belt. Okay. In Kitwe to live Great. Your live streaming. All right. Okay. All right. That sounds good. Thank you to you guys that are consistently in the Copper Belt. All right. Great. A few shout outs to you. Prosper Tembo, thank you. Hey, Winga, thank you. Love you, girl. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with me. Harriet, Eric, Mwene, watching from Kumbala. Oh, well, we appreciate that. Kumbala. Okay. All right, let me just tilt that a little bit, see if we can. Man Mitch, also show up to SML TV. Ikowa, there you go, Ikowa. Good morning, Mr. Chitambala. Why didn't you wait for tomorrow? Because today we are fasting and praying. What does that mean? And I want to talk about that for a moment. This is a Zambian mentality that we have to change. In Zambia, we believe that the day of fasting and prayer and reconciliation, you have to do those things on that day. After that day, you can go back to living like the devil. You can go back to killing. You can go back to cussing. You can go back to harassing the public. You can go back to living like the devil that you are. But on this day, today, we have to fast, reconcile, and pray. Wrong. It's like dieting. Any health practitioner will tell you, if you want to lose weight, okay, and this goes to me as well, because here lately I've been looking at my weight, and I've been saying, my wife has also been saying to me, honey, you're gaining a bit. You're kind of getting on the big side. You need to start going to the gym. You need to start doing the things you used to do when you were younger, you know? And any health practitioner will tell you that if you want to lose weight, it's not about diets. It's not about cutting out Coca-Cola and you know, all kinds of stuff for 6 months. It's about a change of lifestyle. It's about changing the way you live for the rest of your life. If you want to attain weight loss and maintain it, it's about lifestyle change. It's not about diets. The same goes with reconciliation, fasting, and prayer. That should be our lifestyle. We should live that way. It should not be relegated to a day, an event, a date on your calendar. Do you understand that? But in Zambia, we don't get that. This is the reason I've always been opposed to the edifice of the prayer house. You know, the big house that they were going to construct. I didn't like that idea. I don't mind the idea of calling a nation to prayer. I think that it's great that we can live in a country that our leaders recognize the power of prayer and they know that the citizenry are behind that sort of effort. I love that because there are countries all over the world. You cannot do that. Even constitutionally, you cannot call a day of prayer. There are some countries that are so atheist, so removed from the existence of who God is and the essence of his power, that they do not recognize him for who he is. So I'm thankful that I live in a country where we recognize the power of prayer and the call to prayer. If my people who are called by my name would humble themselves. We believe that as a Christian nation, and I thank God for that. But what I don't agree with is relegating a type of behavior to a specific day. No, mwewa, you can't say that because today is the reconciliation and the fasting. Eh? Well, what about tomorrow? What about next week? What about the week after next? So you're saying to me that until next year, October the 18th, between now and October the 18th, we can go back to live like the devil. But as soon as October 18th, 2025 comes around, honey, let's pray, reconcile, and fast. Nonsense. Nonsense. If you're going to be a person of prayer, be a person of prayer. It should be your lifestyle. I've made the point. Okay. Let me very briefly, and incidentally, guys, for those of you that have just now joined me, I'm over here at my hotel room in Kitwe. We are here to attend the National Day of Prayer, Fasting, Reconciliation here in Kitwe at one of the stadiums. And I'm going to go to that. I'm going to bring that to you. I'm going to vlog. I'm going to go talk to people. You know, I might catch a glimpse of the president. I might. No promises because, you know, I'm not part of the security detail. That's not my job. My job is to bring you footage from what we cover from a background point of view, from a behind the scenes point of view. That's my job. So that's what we're doing. I'm here in my hotel room and I went to bed. Usually I'm in bed by 21 hours, 21:30 max, you know, and then I get up about 5. Because, you know, when you get to my age, you go to bed early, you wake up very early, and, you know, you try to get yourself in the groove of things and stuff, you know. And so this morning, what I wanted to do was address 3 issues very, very quickly. The first one, as many of you know, yesterday, Miles Sampa, and you know who Miles is. Miles is the faction leader. He's the leader of the faction of the PF. As many of you know, the notorious Patriotic Front has 3 separate, distinct, unique factions. The first one, of course, is led by Miles Sampa. It's called the NPF, the New Patriotic Front. The second faction is led by the former and 6th president, Edgar Chagwa Lungu. It's also called the NPF, but it's called the Notorious Patriotic Front. And then the third faction is led by Chabinga. And now we don't even know where the hell he is, okay, in terms of, you know, stance. But it'll map itself out, okay? My point is there are 3 factions. Now, the leader of the first faction, which is legally recognized by the registrar of what is it? Is it the registrar of communities? We are not politicians, so we don't know these things. What's the name of the body that recognizes political parties? The registrar of something. Is it the registrar of political parties or the registrar of societies? The registrar of, what is it? Tell me in the comments. Somebody's going to, Mwinga, could you tell me what is that name of that that entity that registers political parties. What is it called? The registrar of something. The registrar of communities. Okay, let's go with that. The registrar of whatever that is, societies. There you go. It's the registrar of. They legally recognize Miles Sampa's faction. So technically speaking, the person that's going to appear for all intent and purposes, all things being equal, the person that will technically appear on the ballot, that's if nothing changes between now and 2026, is Miles Sampa, in charge of the new Patriotic Front. But in terms of grassroots support, Miles Sampa does not have the grassroots support of the NPF. He doesn't. If he decides to go and hold a rally in Kitwe, if he comes here to Kitwe to hold a rally, I would count the number of people on 2 fingers that would show up at that rally. I would. And that's just being realistic. I'm not trying to be hateful. I'm not trying to be spiteful. I'm just telling you the truth. If Miles went to Kutwapia and he decided to hold a rally, Kutwapia, I can count on 2 fingers how many people would show up. Okay, so the dilemma, the dichotomy is that Miles has the legal legitimacy in terms of recognition, but he does not have the grassroots support of the party. Therein lies the conundrum of the NPF. It's a mess. Okay, so my point then is, you've got Miles who's running this political party, who does not have the grassroots support, who recently expelled 9 colossal members of the NPF. He literally booted them out. That's 9 constituencies. That's 9 constituents. That's 9. You know, it's like the Titanic hitting 9 huge icebergs. It's bad enough if the Titanic hits one, because, you know, history tells us that it was one iceberg, one gigantic, colossal, gargantuan iceberg that brought down that ship, the Titanic. In Miles' case, 9 huge, significant, colossal, gargantuan icebergs, and then those icebergs are going to strike the ship. What do you think is going to happen to the ship? It's going to sink. That's what's going to happen. Okay. So you know, aside from all of that, Miles has a financial issue to contend with, and let's not be sheepish about it. Let's not be bashful about it. Politics, running political parties for the purpose of putting your name forward for the presidency, requires a huge amount of money. I'll never forget years ago, and I've told you this story many times. My father was a consummate politician. And I used to love listening to him talk about politics. You know, my father belonged to the political party UNIP. In the days of UNIP, the party and its government, in those days. And I remember once him and I were having lunch. This was many years ago, might have been 30 years ago, maybe 35 years ago, you know. And I sort of turned to him and I said, Dad, how much does it cost to run a nationwide presidential campaign? How much do you think that costs? And he said, well, in terms of US dollars, it'll cost you about $10 million. If you want to run a fully fledged, all pistons firing, a finely tuned political engine that will reach the entire country, every ward, every district, every province, every nook and cranny of this nation, it'll cost you $10 million. I can tell you Miles does not have $10 million. Okay, he simply doesn't have that. And most of these political parties that tout themselves as the presidential aspirants, they neither have the financial muscle or the technical know-how to run a fully fledged presidential nationwide campaign. But this is not tiptoeing through the tulips. Okay, this is not sunshine and rainbows. Okay, it's serious business. And so everything that Miles is doing now, I think, is it's really tantamount to wading in the water. You know, wading, not to kupembela, not waiting, wading. You know what wading means? W-A-D-I-N-G, wading. Wading means you're sitting at the side of the pool, both your legs are in the pool and you're doing this. You're not swimming, you're not going anywhere, you're just sort of sitting there under the sun and you're not moving from one point to you're just wading in the water. That's what most of these presidential candidates are doing. They're just waffling, just fooling around, you know, just shooting the breeze, you know, what's going on? What are we doing today? Oh, okay, I'm just sitting here sitting pretty. I'm just gonna wade in the nothing. That's the issue. So anyway, and you know, I was there was a time I was sort of, you know, Miles and I were sort of friends, and we used to sort of hang out a little bit. And the one thing I noticed about Miles is that he is the most impulsive person I've ever met. I mean, he's the king of impulse. The guy is an idea a minute. You know what that means? It means whatever pops into his head, he doesn't filter it, he just does it. And there's some good quality to that. You know, I think that, you know, along the line there are people that I think, you know, that's a good quality. Sometimes when you shoot from the hip, you don't filter, you sort of act immediately. But then I think that there's certain things that you don't have to do that. You don't have to always be impulsive. Miles is the most impulsive person I have ever met. The guy's an idea a minute, literally. And no consultation, just, we're going in this direction and that's what we're doing, okay? And God forbid that you say to him, maybe there's a different way. Maybe there's a different route. How about we sit down and talk about it? Oh no, honey. Miles is going to do what he's going to do. Okay? So anyway, and you know, him and I were sort of close and I saw that quality about him, you know. And so yesterday he sends out, of course I'm not in the city of Lusaka, my hometown. I'm here in Kitwe. So my PA calls me and she says, oh, you got a letter from Miles, a letter of demand from Miles. You guys know the story. You know, there was something posted on social media about Miles, Sampa and all that stuff. So he attributed that to me. And the truth is, if this thing does go to court, you're going to be shocked. You really are. It's actually, no. Let me change that. You're not going to be shocked because this is the nature of Miles. Everything that's going to come out in that court case, if indeed we go to court, and that's the reason I've said Miles is impulsive. He can send a demand letter. 3 months from now, he's going to act like it didn't happen. He's just going to, what, I sent you a letter? I did? Did I do that? Did I do that? I did? I don't remember saying that, you know. I don't remember. I'll be shocked if this thing goes to court. If it does, there's always legal aid, okay? Because God knows I don't have a treasure trove of cash to waste. Neither does Miles, let's be clear, okay? Both Miles and I do not have the money to waste on lawyers, okay? Miles is tapped. I'm tapped, okay? If we do go to court, honey, legal aid, honey, legal aid. That's the reason legal aid exists, okay? We're not spending money on big high-profile lawyers. We've been down that road before. We're not going to do it again. Legal aid. All right. So, and here's the thing. There's a lot to be learned from there. And of course, we're going to wait. until that happens. But as of today, a demand letter doesn't mean anything. I hope you know that. A demand letter is not a summons, okay? Because some of you were writing, "Oh, mwewa, you are being summoned to court." No, that was a demand letter from some lawyer that he got. I don't know who the hell that is, okay? And basically the letter simply says, look, allegedly you said this, either you retract, you apologize, blobbity, blobbity, blob, or we go to court. Well, honey, circle the wagons on that. You can jump through this. If it does go to court, let's let the chips fall where they may. All right, that's all I'm going to say about that. Secondly, I want to talk to you about Raphael Nakacinda. He was on Emmanuel Mwamba's podcast, and incidentally, I was very pleased to see Kawana confront by Emmanuel Mwamba about the propaganda that Mwamba peddles. Remember, they were at the airport, they were about to receive Vachishimba Kambwili, and incidentally, let's pray. Let's hold Vachishimba Kambwili and his family up in prayer. That was a very tragic event. I tell you, last night when we were coming from the function that we were covering for P1, I was sitting in a car with a few people and we were just talking about this tragedy of Bakambwili. This was the fourth accident that he's been in. Statistically, it's mind-boggling that you would have the same person that is involved in car accident after car accident. It is tragic. It really is. It's tragic. So our prayers, our hearts go out to Bakambwili and his family. It's a very, very difficult and tragic time. But we were talking in the car and we were talking about how Kawana confronted Emmanuel Mwamba at the airport as they were waiting to receive Bakambwili. As you know, Bakambwili has been sent to Mina Soko for specialist treatment, and we thank God for that. And Mwamba, true to his nature, live on Facebook. And I loved Kawana's composure. Kawana just stood there and just waited for Mwamba to finish. Mwamba was saying, no, il faut n'avoir tous les chats. Il faut que tous les chats kuno. Tous les chats. Tous les faut que mon And Kawana says, you're lying. Nothing of the sort has happened. You're here. Nothing of the sort has happened. You are here. And Raphael Nakacinda was on Emmanuel Mwamba's podcast. And Raphael, I tell you, he is the guy, he's the type of guy, when I watch him speak, it just shocks me. Because he is in no moral position to talk about anything that he talks about. And I keep repeating this, and as long as he keeps spewing this nonsense, as long as he keeps vomiting this foolishness, as long as he keeps regurgitating this idiocy, we will retort. We will. I mean, Raphael says, no, this issue with the Nevas, if there's one person who I was close to, is Nevas. And even though Nevas claims that he's the one who introduced me to politics, I was in politics long before Nevas. Guys, the bottom line is that ECL, sixth and former president Edgar Chagwa Lungu, sent Raphael Nakacinda into the MMD to penetrate the power structure of that party with the sole purpose of destroying it and imploding it from within. That is the truth. So I'm baffled, nay, I'm amazed, I am nonplussed when I see and hear Nakacinda talk about, these people, when he himself did the very same thing that he's complaining about. And I will tell you this. I'm not a prophet. I've never claimed to be. Okay, that's not my office. But I will tell you, the writing is on the wall. Nakacinda, where he sits, he knows the jig is up. Where he sits, he knows the curtain call. This is the final curtain call, as Michael Jackson used to say. This is it. This is it. He knows it. He is in no moral position to demand anything and to claim anything. He and his homeboys and his posse are all at a disadvantage. They are no longer in power. And they lose sight of that. You know, they are self-delusional. These are a bunch of crooks that are so far removed from reality that they forget where they are. They are as vulnerable as a rabbit with a sky full of hungry vultures that will at any moment swoop down and vanquish them. You must understand that. You really must understand that. So I have no kind words for Raphael Nakacinda. He took Never's Mumba through hell. And let me tell you, there's nothing more demonic than a man who claims to be a Christian but acts like the devil. Woo! That's heavy there. There is nothing in the world more sinister, more diabolical, more detrimental than a person that has the facade of a Christian. When you unveil them, you are staring into the eyes of Lucifer himself. Lucifer. That's Nakacinda. And I can't stand to watch him. It churns my stomach to watch him speak. It literally, it makes me physically ill, is what it is, you know. So I shudder to think what's going to happen to him, because he forgets that he's no longer, he thinks he's the bee's knees, is what it is. He thinks he's riding high on the saddle, is what it is. But the truth is, he's as vulnerable as a single rabbit in an open field with a sky full of hungry vultures that are waiting any moment to descend and snatch him. Before long, he's going to be a rumor. They're going to put a line through his name instead of under it. You watch, see what I tell you. All right. What is the last point? I said 3 things. Didn't I say 3 things? What was the last thing I'm talking about? Tell me in the comments. And I need to go downstairs here in a moment. I'm charging my batteries and stuff. What was the last thing I was supposed to talk about? Please tell me in the comments. I forget. I mean, I could refer to my phone, but why would I do that when I have you? All right, that's right. The media pool, P1 Media. I thank you. Who was that? Who said that? Stacy. Hey, Stacy Beamer. Thank you. Thank you, Stacy. I get amused. I do. I get amused when I hear people say, "Oh, so you are enjoying." You know, when I take footage of me going to the airport and I document these trips. I document the trips from the beginning to the end. Beginning, you know, because, you know, every story has 3 components. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So I try to do that, okay? I get so amused when people say to me, "Oh, so you're the one enjoying, mwewa? Who's paying for those trips that you're going on?" Let me explain something to you, Dwanzis, you Neanderthals. Let's begin let's go back to 2021. Because, I think that in order to understand where we are, we have to first of all appreciate where we've come from. Do you understand that? Okay. Remember, prior to the 2021 elections, Hakainde Hichilema was basically labeled and defined as the Facebook president. No, you are just on Facebook, Hakainde. You are Facebook. And I remember there was a lady, please tell me in the comments, there was some woman, she bet 5,000 kwacha with some guy, I forget who it was. She said, I'll give you 5 pin if Hakainde wins. Kabili Hakainde, wapa Facebook chabe. Vamui shiva fe pa Facebook. Vamui shiva fe pa internet. This if to abapa ground. Do you remember that? Do you remember that lady who said that? Tell me in the comments below if you could tell me, please. Basically, HH was relegated and sort of confined to this definition of being a Facebook president, that he was concentrating on Facebook when there are others, real, consummate, authentic politicians who were on the ground and who were making tangible connections with the electorate. Whilst Hakainde is just on Facebook. Well, come to find out, Facebook, the internet, social media played a vital role in electing Hakainde Hichilema. You must understand that. I want that to sink in for a moment. Want that to sink in. Somebody says, what are you wearing? What's wrong with what I'm wearing? So now, Lufianya, this is wrong. I shouldn't wear this. What would you have me do? You don't want me to wear this? Do you want me to take it off? This is not, you don't like this? No? You remember that? He's just a Facebook president. Well, social media was so powerful that the PF attempted to sabotage social media. And Zambians by that time were clued in VPN. You remember that? I'll never forget it. I'm standing in line. I voted at Evelyn Hone College. The election prior to 2021, I voted on Katondo Street at the Lusaka City Council Public Library. But in 2021, I voted at Evelyn Hone College. Yes, it was Evelyn Hone College, yeah. Standing in line, and a bunch of young people in front of me, and they were on their phones. They were doing one of these. And then one of them started yelling, internet vaisala. Another person yells, they've closed the internet. Very quickly, these chaps, these young boys and girls, this generation, they jacked up. VPN, they bypass the system of Zikta. Access. Why? Because ECL's team realized too late. If it were done that Facebook was useless, it has a direct bearing and a direct impact on these elections. So let us circumvent. Let us block these young people from accessing the internet so that we can have an advantage. PF themselves were asked, do you know anything? Given Lubinda was asked in the presence of Davis Mwila, what has happened to the internet? We don't know. That was Given Lubinda's response. I'm not aware of the disruption of the internet. Why? Because they knew the impact of social media. So now, fast forward, I said all of that to say this. Fast forward to today. We now have a head of state who recognizes In fact, he recognized it then. He knows the power of social media. So he has decided to incorporate social media platforms to disseminate the information surrounding his activities as the head of state. And there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, I'm not suggesting that SML TV is the only social media platform. There are many. There are many of us here. Many. There's Kalemba, there's mwewa, there's all these chaps are here. Why? Because the president understands that it's no longer about traditional media. It's no longer about just ZNBC or your own. The president has a very popular Facebook page. More than 1.4 million followers on his page. But P1 knows that it's not just about his page. It's not just about traditional media, which is ZNBC or Zanis. He recognizes now that incorporate social media platforms so that we can disseminate the information more quickly and expeditiously. So what do? Incorporate these platforms. Ask them to join us at a stipend, of course. But let me be honest with you. When you say things like finish today dealer, to all of us, we just get a stipend. It's a stipend. You know, where I'm staying here, it's a stipend. For you to think that 50 million, it's just a stipend. And what we're doing, I wish you knew. I get so amused when you say you are. What are we enjoying? Panto, let me tell you. For example, let me just point out ZNBC and Zanis. Ngapali babantu ababomba when it comes to inch to cover the president. But I'm guys, guys, they wake up early. When they go to site where the president is going to be speaking or conducting an event, those guys have to stand there for 4, 5, 6 hours. They can't leave. They can't go off and vlog the way I do. Those chaps work extremely hard. And by the end of the day, this thing we do is extremely tiring. Tulanaka, I'm telling you, at least in my own way, and P1 has made it very clear. P1's team, he didn't say this to me directly, but the people in charge of the media team, we were told, do your thing your way. Someone from the head of the media team said, Mwewa, the way you vlog, just do it. We are not going to restrict you or confine you to a certain format. You do it the way you like. Do it the way you do it. ZNBC, do it the way you do it. Kalemba, do it the way you do it. Mwebantu, do it the way you do it. They have given us the freedom to do our thing in our way in order to disseminate the information. That is the goal. So when you sit there and say, no, finish today, leader. What are we leading? This is work. Yes, there's a stipend. I'm not going to disagree. There is a stipend. There is a compensation component to it. Because what we do is we are literally, essentially, leaving our homes, leaving our work, leaving some of our businesses to come here to do the work of covering P1's activities. So that we can do what? So that you can see it from a different angle. Because I know there are some of you who say, no, well, we don't need you. There's the ZNBC there. We don't need you. There's the Haraile Ichirima's page there. We don't need you. There's the Zanis there. Well, there are certain people on my platform that will watch my content before they watch any other content, and vice versa. There are certain people that watch Mwebantu's content before they watch my content. So, that's the name of the game. So, if you and that, no, that's taxpayers' money. I'm a taxpayer. Did you know that? I probably pay more tax than you do. Did you know this? Did you know that? I bet you didn't know that, did you? Okay. Alrighty. Thought I'd share that with you. We're going to start at 10 o'clock today. Today is going to be a long day. And I need to make sure that everything's charged. Do you have any questions? I don't usually take questions, but I'll do it today. Do you want to ask me something? I've never done this before. I've never interacted, like asked you to ask questions. Somebody says, today's National Day of Prayer. Yes, I know. And that's why we're here. We're here to cover the National Day of Prayer. That's why we're here. So relax. We're going to be fine. William says, actually, we enjoy your content. Thank you. Thank you, William. How much stipend are you getting? That's private, but we do get a stipend. You would just go and meet Kiromita in the court. Of course. If that case goes to court, when have I never gone to court? Huh? When have I never gone? When you are summoned, you go. And don't get it twisted. Miles has sent a letter of demand. It's not a court summons. It's just a letter of demand. Okay? But mwewa, you streamed your hair. What do you mean? What's wrong? Something wrong with my hair now? Huh? Something wrong? Tell me. Why are you wearing that? Why are your glasses like that? Fiance is wrong. Fiance. So if you're fin, we just go with it the way it is. Do you love the way things are, H8 government? Yes. I support this administration. I think they're on the right track. Great things are ahead. Do you believe in the National Day of Prayer? Yes, I do. I believe in a National Day of, I believe in a call to pray, a call to prayer. I believe in that. What I don't believe is building that edifice. Chiachi building, Chidiati calling it the house of prayer. So many people were involved in the construction of that thing. All the materials, money was donated. And let me tell you one thing that ECL did that I must commend him for, because he did it from a point of view. No, let me change that. Let me rephrase that. That was wrong. Let me scratch that. Not the word is not right. The word is not commend. That's the wrong word. I'll get it right in a moment. Let me point out. Let me highlight, not commend. Let me highlight one of the things that ECL did was there was a board that was in charge of the construction of that edifice, that building, that house of prayer. But because Balungu could see that these chaps, they are stealing. Not only are they stealing money, they're stealing materials. ECL dissolved that board because he said to those chaps, Imwe, this house of prayer is supposed to be constructed, but you are stealing the money. So I'm just going to scrap it. So he scrapped it. So I don't believe in that edifice being built because I believe that that thing is going to introduce a political religious cult. It will bring in some type of ecumenical movement. Ecumenical means, you bring the Baptists, the Lutherans, the Pentecostals, the Church of God in Christ, the Buddhists, the monks, the Muslims, bring them all together so that we can hold hands and sing Kumbaya. That was the beginning of a political religious cult in terms of the structure, the building. I do believe, however, in the call, the call to prayer, like, pray, seek the face of God. But I don't believe that we should relegate it to one day, because in the PF, what they used to do was they'd pray lelo, mailobare to cancel. Innocent Karimansha would be at the chiteni of prayer, mailobare to cancel. Avene Monga and Avene Mutila, they were at the National Day of Prayer, seeking forgiveness, reconciliation, and fasting. The next day, they were attacking people on the street. Nonsense. You know, it should be a lifestyle. It should not be relegated to a day. All right. One last question, and then I'm going to. Why are Zambians so touchy? Miles is a public official. He shouldn't be this sensitive. All he needs is a state. Is to state a position. Morning, Mr. Mwewa. Hello, Mwandi. There are Zambians like me who feed into your free spirit. Watching from Wallington Ford, Connecticut. Thank you, guys. God bless you. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye.